It's Neil who's on number 2. Neil, be gentle with us. The last caller was rather testy. What do you want to tell us, Neil?
Hello, Dan. I've got a few things to tell you. First of all, I've had a great season this season because me and my mate Dave, we have been all over the country at different clubs, and we have been working for Standard Liège as coaches.
What do you mean?
Well, the story is my friend Ronnie works over in Belgium.
Yeah.
He goes and sees Standard Liège all the time. He's living over there. That's his club.
Yeah.
Start the season, he sent us some stuff, i.e. sort of like ties and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We've had, because we've been to all the games, we've seen the fellas in the stands, and it's, the old grey trousers, the blue blazers, the white shirt, and, the big old Umbro coat. What Ronnie does is he's phoned or faxed the different clubs that we've got, say, 2 people from Standard Liège coming over. And we've gone and picked up our tickets, and we've been everywhere.
Wow.
And the best thing of all was last week, I was stood, and this is the funniest thing of all, I was stood chatting to Howard Kendall, and I've blown it now if Howard's listening, but he was, chatting about the players we've got at the club. And any players at Everton, and that we're interested in.
So when your friend rings from Standard Liège, or Standard, or even Liège, and says we've got 2 people who are coming in from the club, called Dave and Neil.
What I always do, see, I used to be a midfielder at Bristol City. I never. Retired through injury, because they always ask you.
Yeah.
And my mate just says he was a fullback at Fulham in the 80s. And as long as you remember a few players and who was manager at the time.
Wow.
That's all that ever happened.
Has anyone ever said, I think I remember you,
I had a bloke at Manchester City who swore blind he played against me in a game in 1982.
You've been all over the place.
We went Everton last week. As I say, we haven't tried. We were worried last week in case old Rude came in the Players' Lounge, because he'd been everywhere, Rude Hullet, innit? And he thought he's banged her.
Yeah, because he might have started asking awkward questions about the Belgian setup, mightn't he? Yeah.
Exactly. So all we do, as I say,
when you got talking here as representative... Kendall. When you got talking to Howard Kendall as representative of Standard Liège...
He also told me he played at Bristol City in Blackburn, or for Blackburn a couple of years ago, and asked me sort of who was there and all this sort of stuff.
But who did you approach him, or did he approach you?
He approached us because...
Did he try to offload Duncan Ferguson? Of course he is.
Obviously, there was 2 blokes from Belgium coming to look at a couple of players.
Go on, give us some of the conversation. What did he say when he walked over to you?
Well, it was like, he was just shook hands, and then he sort of, Howard, and I was Neil, and that was it. And then he just sort of asked, about how long it took us to get over, and are you any
would you like
in
a
particular, that sort of stuff. And it was, we're just sort of going across, we're going to Liverpool, we're having a couple of days over.
Did he say, I'll tell you what, we've got a boy in our youth team. Did he give it any of that?
Well, no, we give it a bit of that as well.
What did you say?
Well, we just said that we've got a lot of young lads who haven't made it perhaps in Britain, and who've come over, and there's a lot of lads coming over to play foreign football. And he said, well, we've got a scout in Holland.
Let me just ask you a few...
scout in Holland's going to be going here, there and everywhere.
Let me just ask you a few more questions then about how many grounds do you think you've been to?
We've been to about... I don't know, probably about 21.
Oh, are you treated well at all of them?
We're treated like royalty in the lower divisions. Because when we go to the lower divisions, they think it's some huge payday.
They think you've got £600,000
and the best ones of all are these commissionaire fellas on the door, blokes who would never let me through any of those doors before, but just because I've got a tie and a jacket and a suit on...
What do you actually do?
What do I do?
Yeah.
I'm a carpenter.
You're a chippy.
And here I am, I'm discussing, whether Gary Speed is,
I'll give you a call Monday about Gary Speed or that.
But that's the funny thing, the number of times I've done that and said that, we'll be in touch. And that sort of stuff.
He's disrupting the entire Bosman ruling on his own, this fella. Have you ever come close to being rumbled?
At Stoke City, we only had one drink in the players' bar because they did say that there was a lad who was involved with the youth team of Stoke who played in Belgium. And it was like,
Exactly, so we'll make our excuses and be back to our chocolate now.
Exactly, and that was gone. But we'd seen the game and, we'd had our coffee at half-time, and Wolves is lovely.
Yeah.
Wolves, we had a nice bowl of soup at half-time. And I was in there with the bloke
This is so good of you to ring up and blow this,
I was with the bloke from Wolves, with that David Davis.
Have you been...
From the FA.
David Davis, the PR officer for the FA?
From the FA,
Oh, yeah?
He's in charge of English football, give or take.
And there's me, look, you know.
The beauty of this call, though, apart from the beauty of the way he delivered it and the wonderful scam itself, really does prove nobody knows what's going on. Nobody knows who anyone is. We talk about the modern game. We're all in Europe now. Nobody knows who it is.
And the greed of football clubs, just in case there might be someone, a few bob from Standard Liège. Come on down.
Come into my parlour, said this, and you're being schmoozed by Howard Kendall.
Howard Kendall.
And you, sir, put up shelves.
And I put up shelves, and, you know, I could fit a kitchen for him, no problem.
When this first started, you must have been a bit edgy about it. Did you think we're not going to get away with this?
We just never thought we were going to get away with it, because we had this theory that, you know, these people would know sort of, you know, what was going on in football.
Oh, no. No, that's the part of the plan that was always rock solid.
The other thing you've got to do is you've got to sit in a stand and make notes.
Yeah? What sort of things do you write?
What I usually do, because what I've learned, the first time I did it, is I look at the other scouts who are there, and they have a little thing of the pitch, and then they sort of, you know, and you've got to sort of, at the last minute, you've got to rush around and say, oh, is there a team sheet? Is there a team sheet? You've got to get the team sheet, tick them off, and then sort of write notes to say about the number 7 and put the formations down and all sort of stuff.
Have you spotted any good players? As a matter of interest.
Have you actually developed it? Have you ever took this?
I've looked and said, look, 3 at the back, 2 pushing up, and I've got it all now.
Some poor 17-year-old with a twitch after the game has his manager come up and go, listen, don't go mad, but there's 2 guys in Standard Liège and they're really interested in you. And you've changed someone. I
must admit, what I have done is I spoke to Mark McGee about Dean Richards, the young fullback. He was telling me, oh, yeah, we got him from Bradford.
Yeah, for £2.5 million quid.
Yeah, that's right.
Standard Liège have got that kind of money.
I don't know, to be honest.
Well, thank you. That is
one of the best things we've ever had.
One of the best things we've ever had. Thank you very much, my friend. Now, can you match that? Because that may have come out of, I don't know where it came out of. It may have come out of the category, have you ever rung a football club and got straight through to someone? Ways of getting in the grounds for nothing. We used to do that, but we've had but nothing as spectacular as that. Rung someone through, Caroline. Who's there? This is line 7, and this is our friend Neil. Neil, how are you?
Welcome aboard. Dan, how are you?
Good as gold. Neil, you can hear the hats
improving by the second, we are.
Clash did it for us. What do you want to tell us, Neil?
Dan, I spoke to you a couple of weeks ago about me and my mate from Standard Liège.
How big is our listenership? Who was it? What?
This is the great man who pretended to be a scout.
Oh, it's Neil.
For Standard Liège.
Now, excuse me, if you don't know who Neil is, Neil...
God and a genius, that's all.
Very quickly tell everyone why you were famous last time.
Well, because my friend works in Belgium. He got in touch with Standard Liège, sent us some stuff over, ties, things like that. He then phones the football clubs on, and he puts tickets on for us.
They say 2
for all intents and purposes, the people at the clubs think that we're scouts or whatever
from Standard Liège.
And you've actually conversed with Ron Atkinson and Kendall and all these people.
They've even tried to sell your players on the side, and you're treated like kings wherever you go because you wear a tie with Standard Liège.
And they think you're bundled with cash.
Everyone thinks you are from Standard Liège.
And a blue blazer as well.
You see, this is... Sorry to drag us back here, Dan, but this is why that Newcastle director story doesn't... Of course they do that. If, you know, Standard Liège tie, you're from Standard Liège. Have our centre forwards. The fellow works in a photocopying shop.
You're using the word have. Have our centre forwards.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah. Carry on. Anyway, Neil, what's new?
Well, we're off to Swindon today.
Yeah.
We went to Swindon a couple of weeks ago where I was chatting to a director from Manchester City.
Yeah.
Of course you were.
Like name dropping.
Yeah.
And I was just expressing an interest in Uwe Rosler.
In what?
In Uwe Rosler.
Oh, yeah. And you
are you going to make a firm bid today, do you think?
Well, we're going to Swindon today. I don't know much about Stockport, but Swindon, it was great food at dinner time. They had sandwiches and stuff like that. So we'll be back.
He's now doing it in advance. He's telling you, you want to get caught. You're the classic jewel thief.
Well, we're going. This is the first time we've ever gone back again.
Yeah.
Did I mention the good soup they have at Wolves?
No. How did you come to sample the good soup of Wolves?
Well, that was when I was sat there with a bloke from the FA, David Davis.
Yeah.
Who was sat next to me and said, you know, you've come far, and what are you doing? And we're going to a few Midlands clubs, that sort of thing. Or what's the youth team setup like over in Belgium?
Oh, David Davis.
And what do you tell them?
Just everything off the top of my head, what with me being a carpenter and that. I'd love to tell him how to fit kitchen.
Yeah, if only he would ask you, how do you get those door jambs put straight, and then you can tell him.
Do you ever invent phantom players that are coming up through the ranks?
I do. I invent players. And
what are they called? What are they called?
When we saw the Everton-Chelsea game, there was a bloke there who swore he played against me.
Oh, that's right. You did tell us that. Yeah, you said
because
something.
I always like to say I played for Bristol City early 80s.
And people go, yeah, I think I
always come out
remember
with cruciate ligament damage.
Oh, of course you did.
They want the surgery that I could have recovered from that.
Now, why are you going back to Swindon? Why are you doing this? Because I want you to traverse all over the place, and I think we should change clubs. I think the Standard Liège thing may be leaking out.
It was a last-minute thing, the Swindon thing, because we thought, well, we'll go back there because there was no games. But I mean, with there no Premiership games, we went to Spurs weeks back, and I was just sat behind Alan Sugar then in the director's box.
He is the absolute king.
It's just so funny, as you say about the Newcastle directors. It is just so funny the way these fellas come up to you and nobody ever asks.
No, nobody.
Well, and it's just all because I've got the tie on and sort of say.
Well, you must report back in next week or this afternoon.
This afternoon. Bring us at 5:30, won't you?
Tell us how it goes.
We'll give you the express number.
Someone's listening from Swindon. Yeah.
See, again, I don't think anyone could ever match you, Neil. But if anyone says, "Oh yeah, we've tricked a club before," we want all of those calls. But Neil is the king of this.
But the other thing, Dan, is last week as we were coming out, there was a lot of Manchester City supporters there. And we, just sort of mingling. And we told them that we were after Uwe Rosler, so I don't know whether them will be sort of, they're thinking he's on his way.
Well, as I say, the Standard Liège showing interest. It sounds very plausible.
Well, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sounds extremly plausible. What do you call yourself? Do you use your own... Oh, no, I won't do that.
I just use my name, that's right.
Do you? Oh, well, no, please, whatever happens, I hope your being candid with us doesn't lead to your downfall, because this is a superb thing, and if anything shows football up to be the dunderheaded idiot box it is a fella walking around...
No, it's a big business now, Dan.
I must tell you this.
Go on.
Back a couple of months ago, we went to Yeovil, non-league.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
To be honest, it was like Glenn Oddle turning up, because we were treated like royalty, and they...
Yeah, look, here we go.
We didn't do it, and I do regret it later, but their marketing bloke did ask my mate if he'd like to do the half-time draw.
Oh, you've got to.
Oh, you're a hero. We've got to get you on telly. You're the best. You see, I don't want to make you feel bad about it, because I think they deserve everything they get. But this Yeovil, with their strained resources, will still find money in the kitty to entertain some carpenter wearing a Standard Liège tie. Yes, of course, help you. They may as well say, open their wallet. You want to help yourself.
You want to go to Peterborough, my friend. They've got money to waste on art exhibitions. You can probably buy a car there.
Anyway, that's Neil, and Neil is without doubt absolutely up amongst the top three callers with the wooden bow tie that we ever
He is
had.
magnificent,
I don't know why I said wooden bow tie. You've not been with the show all the way through. Okay. Oh, Neil, on line 10, it's our own correspondent, Neil.
I can't be excited so much.
Neil.
Hello.
Welcome back. You are the star of the airwaves. You're the person we're waiting for. This is Neil, by the way, who pretends to be from Standard Liège. Today you were on your way to Swindon, and you were ballyhooing it, sir, begging to get caught. You were like Jack, sending off a letter written in blood, saying, "Oh, Jack won't catch me yet, sir. I snipped off her ears. They was very tasty. Yours from hell." Anyway, you went to Swindon today, did you?
I did indeed. Dan,
and what
Commissioner treated me fantastic as I walked again.
Okay, so they didn't suspect at all that you're just...
Every detail, Neil, every detail, please.
I think, to be honest, I'm pushing it a bit now with Swindon. I've gone there twice.
What did you do today?
Spoke to the youth team boss, and their under-16s are touring Belgium in the pre-season.
Swindon's are?
Yeah.
Okay, and now when he said that, you must have swallowed a little hard,
Big gulp.
Yeah.
Sweaty palms, but gave him Standard Liège's number and asked him to give me a ring if we can sort out a friendly...
Yes, sir! Now, the terrible thing here is, and often, I'm with you every step of the way, but he's going to go up to his under-16 and say, "Now, kids, go home and ask him, we're going to be playing Standard Liège." And I go, "Yeah," because some chippy told me. What happened at the game? Did you get a half-time beverage?
It was Volleyball's half-time.
Was there?
Yeah, very nice too.
Yeah.
Nice.
How would it compare with the good soup of Wolverhampton?
Nothing beats Wolves, I must admit. Nothing beats Wolves.
And what kind of people were you rubbing shoulders with? Just generally directors?
Local contractors, that sort of thing. To be honest, it was, I was thinking perhaps I could get myself some chippy work here as well, but...
that'll be your downfall.
It will. Best talk football, but to be honest, I'm starting to believe it as well now. To be honest, I'm revelling in it. And as I say, didn't meet a lot of the players afterwards because obviously I had to rush back to try and get on the show and that.
Well, I appreciate your sacrifice in that respect. But
was chatting to some. I think he was involved with the reserves and the youth team. Didn't catch his name, but I was telling him about a young prospect that we've got is Pierre Vosberg, who plays for Standard Liège. Yeah, which is just the name we made up on the car going up.
I thought that. I thought, oh no, I looked at Dan and he looked at, and usually Dan goes, oh, you're Pierre Vosberg. Of course Pierre Vosberg is an up-and-coming kid at Standard Liège. How much would you accept for Pierre?
Well, anything really. Probably, I think we'd be looking at, $1 million plus for him.
Yeah. And the kid, was he 16, 17?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. But I think, to be honest, looking at Stockport and Swindon, nothing really there that can, enhance the squad at all.
Really, yeah. I mean, you've got Pierre Vosberg's best interests at heart. You couldn't send him to the West Country, could you, like that?
No, exactly.
No, exactly, yeah. Well, anyway, Neil, keep us updated on all your events as they go by, and long may you run, sir. That is the Phantom Scout of Standard Liège, our friend Neil, and he's getting so cocky now he boasts where he's going, and he gets food and welcomed like a hero wherever he goes, and they even try to sell him players.
Hello, Dan.
What do you want to tell us, Neil?
I'm looking forward to any more plays tonight.
Very good, and it's going to be a great... It's between... Oh, it's Standard Liège, Neil, is it?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Neil, hats off. If you're sitting down at the moment, stand up. Neil's on the phone. He's the best. He's the king. Neil, what news do you have from the front? What's going on?
On my way to Oxford, for Oxford Tranmere today.
Yeah.
And the big news is... went to the Chelsea game on Thursday night.
Oh, he's now going to big bets now. Very good.
Unless people, people are joining us all the time, and thank you very much for it.
Neil has a friend in Belgium, and his friend bought Neil a Standard Liège tie.
Any more tie?
Neil then gets his mate to write from Belgium to say, my friend, we are Standard Liège scouts, and we would like free entry to your matches. And every football club in Britain, such as their high level of organisation and science, falls for this. Neil's been everywhere.
As far as many clubs are concerned, they've even tried to sell him players. He represents Standard Liège. Now, on this, I know you've been to Tottenham, but here, this was a very big game.
This was a big game because
Chelsea Vincenza on Thursday night. You attended in what capacity?
I was with my friend Tony. We were both scouting for Standard Liège, and basically looking at in case we get into Europe next season.
I can't tell you how pleased I was at Chelsea.
I was sat 2 seats away from John Gorman, and I was desperately trying to see what he was writing down, but I couldn't make head nor tail of it, to be honest. I think it was a shopping list. But have a guess who I met in the bar?
Who did you meet in the bar?
Mr. Mellor.
Whoa! Did you really?
Ding, 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 ding.
We're taking the fight to the heart of the beast.
Yes, we're living in the heart of the beast now.
For the heart of the sun.
I've got two things to tell you about Mr. Mellor.
Go on.
First of all, I'm thinking of phoning him tonight because he thought my friend Tony Williams was one of the best fullbacks he's ever seen for Fulham.
No!
And my friend Tony's a plasterer.
Now, hang on. I'm shaking. Your friend Tony is a plasterer, right?
Yes.
What did he tell Mr. Mellor he was?
He played for Fulham in the late 70s. And Mr. Mellor said it's a really strange thing. I remember you. I can remember you. You can imagine him sort of salivating as he does. And he was getting all excited saying, you remembered him playing when he used to support Fulham.
Yeah, of course. Famously, he was a Fulham supporter before he became a famous Chelsea supporter.
And yet, he identifies Tony the Plasterer.
Tony the Plasterer as a Fulham fullback. And also, I went to
hang on, let's go
Cohen, Haynes, Tony the Plasterer.
Tony the Plasterer, Tony the Plasterer, right, yeah.
And I went to the toilet at the same time as Mr. Mellor.
Oh, yeah.
And all I'll say is the John Walk of broadcast.
No! And now we're getting it all.
He's up, Neil. We may have to edit that back out and put it in the late... Well, this is no guide to a broadcaster. A broadcaster can of course, be a perfectly adequate broadcaster with, less than the given quotient.
I'm prepared to...
I'm disallowing this as a valid comment, Neil.
If I'm brutally honest, I saw him go to the toilet.
I'm going to disallow this. A, on the grounds it's too early for this sort of... And B, we really should not make sport of an under-endowed broadcaster. You can't do this.
Well, I apologise.
As a matter of record, it is now... It's in the books. There's nothing we can do about that.
Yep.
We cannot take that back.
We don't want anybody else ringing up to confirm that at all.
At all. And and once it's been mentioned now, we shall never, of course... mention
it again.
And just coming back to your friend Tony the Plasterer. So you went to the loo for a wee, yes?
Well, I sort of raced after in the
Yeah.
Well, and basically what you're telling us is, you've seen elevator buttons with more, they cast more of a shadow. All right, now, coming back to the actual Chelsea hospitality, was it up to par with some of the other ones you've been to?
Cream of vegetable soup.
Yeah.
And egg mayonnaise sandwiches, which I thought was a bit of a letdown.
Yeah. Very much a letdown.
Yeah. But having said that, they spend all this money, and like Tony pointed out to me, their ceiling wants replastering at their players' lounge.
Tony would notice, of course, wouldn't he?
Tony would notice that. I mean,
everyone else was sat around there talking about football, and we were sat there just pulling the place to bits, saying,
well, not only that, but other broadcasters. Now, of course, we don't. I mean, there's Miss Sanchez, I believe, may wish to take issue with you over this, but please not over these airways. But Neil, we know you were very much on fire last time we spoke to you about the soup at Wolverhampton.
Yeah,
the good soup at Wolverhampton.
Did it overshadow the Chelsea cream of whatever it was?
No, I think Wolves was the best soup. I mean, we've got a couple of games left to the end of the season because I'm hoping to go all through the season with this. Let's go into different games.
You have got a book inside you.
Neil, I don't believe. I think there's every chance you end up as manager of a major club before the season's over.
Well, I'm thinking of next season maybe writing for a few jobs. I know you've done that before, haven't you?
We've done that. But
we never do on Standard Liège headed notepaper. I think you're a shoe-in, aren't you?
I think you might have to switch clubs because I think the Standard Liège thing, the FA are going to circulate some kind of letter saying we're warning. Which is fine because as I say, if it ended tomorrow, you've had a real good run, haven't you?
Oh, fantastic! And as I say, well, people get so excited about continentals, don't they?
Exactly.
Continental football. He was salivating.
And just to underline it, where are you actually from?
I'm from Bristol.
Ladies and gentlemen, Neil.
He probably works in Bradshaw Snake Boss, doesn't he?
Never disappoints. That's Neil. And I apologise for portions of that call because, we could attack him for his broadcasting. We can attack. No, we can't attack him.
Actually, we now know it's narrowcasting, don't we?
Exactly. But we certainly cannot
condone
making sport of the fella's physical shortcomings, if that be. Because who amongst us could pass that test?
No, who could say?
Yeah. Bung someone through there, Carolyn. It is. What line? On line 1, of course, it's a regular Saturday morning call from Standard Liège's own scout, Neil. Neil!
Hello, Dad, how are you?
I'd like you to come in here one week because I feel, you are the 13th man, as they used to say.
Well, I'd love to. It's a bit emotional now because this is our last game, really, this season. We're off to see Southampton Derby.
Very briefly, Neil, of course, and his friend, just being in possession of some writing paper and a tie with Standard Liège on it, present themselves at most grounds in the country as scouts for Standard Liège, and they are accepted wherever they go, like Simon Smith and his amazing dancing bear. Where are you going today?
We're off to Southampton today.
Okay, under the guise of being Standard Liège scouts?
Of course, yeah.
Now, have you been to the Dell before?
We've never been to the Dell before.
Okay.
Do they know you're coming?
They do know we're coming. They've even got us car parking spaces.
Of course, yeah.
So we thought we better not bring the van. We're going in the nice car today, just to make it all seem, all above board.
What news of recent shenanigans? Have you been anywhere since we last spoke?
Well, we went to the England-Portugal game.
Yeah.
Care of the FA.
Come on now. You see, there are people up here who are rumbling that maybe this is... I don't mind if it's a whole bogus string of things here.
I don't believe it is.
No, I don't think it is, but we need some photographic proof if you're pitching up at Wembley now.
Well, this is what I'm going to do for next...
You got us into the papers last time with the size of Mellor's penis. You know that, don't you? You got us all into the papers there, and there was terrible... there were terrible journalists rifling through my bins trying to find size as well. The kind of things that are in front of any old
looking for photocopies.
They were looking for exactly, yeah. And you got us into terrible trouble with that. So what was Wembley like?
Wembley was quite good, actually. The tickets weren't very good because obviously they were, it was, I think we're talking restricted view here, so,
really?
But at least they got us some anyway.
That's one. That's just because they don't fancy playing Belgium in the World Cup.
But the other thing was, when I went to the famous one, I went to see Mr. Mellor, the Chelsea-Vicenza game, my mate was at work and he couldn't see the game on the telly, so he taped it. And we're just behind Ken Bates.
You're joking.
Yeah, well, they shoot the Ken Bates halfway through the game.
In any Chelsea game, there's always the obligatory 10 cutaways of Ken Bates in his square jaw.
And you can just see us. You can just see us about 2 rows behind Ken Bates.
What are you wearing?
I've got like a grey... blazer thing on with a brown overcoat.
Really?
Yeah,
you see, this kind of detail you can't... I'm sure you can't ad-lib this kind of detail. The man's bona fide.
I think I'm writing a few got the programme in the hand, writing a few notes, but it was a great shot. It was brilliant.
Well, then this, of course, covers the other one I've been on telly too, on football matches, but however, we know your beer is bigger than that. When you're behind Ken Bates, as you were, something I've always wondered, because these shots of Ken Bates, he always seems to be forever trying to get comfortable in his seat, and he's never smiling, and I suspect, I don't know, that he makes low noises, does he? I think this is what Ken Bates sounds like, because when you see that cutaway of him, I think he's going... I think he makes noises like that, does he?
I really don't know, Dan. I mean,
well, look, next time you're behind him, do it so, because I do. Every time I see that cutaway, I have to provide the noises, because I think, well, if he was mic'd up, you'd hear, I think that's it.
He's certainly got everybody fawning all around him. They
there
really
is some
do
kind of
love him
contractual
there.
obligation to show him on the
Lots of
television
shots
all
in
the
there.
time.
Why? I mean, it's always good.
You'll never be back in the bridge otherwise.
Oh, we finished, have we?